All right. Questions? Who knew hands were going to be such a fun time? Or fingers? Okay. So here's my bad example. I'm going to reserve this one for the four finger one. This is going to be my four finger. Excuse me, my five finger character. Right. That's awesome. There you go. And now I have evidence that you're being a jerk, Dylan. It's recorded. All right. And but this one for my LUIGI, I will do 3. Right? And this is where we're at. So once again, if you don't have an arm yet, just make a cube and follow along by extruding out 2 faces. Because all you really need is 2 faces right now. You don't have to do anything fancy, just so you can kind of understand the concepts. Right? Something like that. Something like that. There you go. All right. The other good thing, or bad thing, is that Mario is in fist form, right? So Mario is in fist form. So we have to use our brains a little bit. We can't just trace like we've been doing before, right? So we have to kind of speculate. When you find your own character models that you're going to model, or when you draw your own character model that you're going to draw, you can actually draw it if you want. Then you can draw your own hand. Like, so when I was doing Yoda, I was trying to make Yoda one time. Luckily, Yoda had a top-down view of his hand, and it really helped with the tracing because there's lots of claws and stuff going on there. But it's going to depend on the image that you can find. And this is the best image I can find of Mario and Luigi, and that's okay, because this way, I'm kind of glad that they're not showing the fingers, because the fingers are tough. And if you're playing a video game, often the fingers are in punch mode anyway, so it won't matter. What game would I not be able to do that? Would I have to pay a lot of attention to the hands? Call of Duty, any first-person shooter. Any first-person shooter, that's all you see are the hands around a gun. So that's where all your modeling comes into play, right? Luckily, there's gloves. You got a big gun in front of the way, so that happens. So, yeah, did you think your experience with games was gonna really come in handy in life? It might. It might actually. If you choose a career in animation, you might. It might really help you. All right. So what we did yesterday was, okay, let's begin. Let's do a save as right now. I'm going to do a save as just to start off. We said arm done. I'm going to say hands start. Because hands are so tricky that I might just need to be like, screw it, I'm going to do it again. So instead of arm done, I'm going to do hands start. Okay. Let's do the thumb first. Okay? So yesterday, I asked you to extrude out from the wrist to about where that knuckle is, right? About to where the beginning of that index finger starts. And I said, tomorrow, we're going to do an edge loop. So let's do an edge loop now. So let's go up top. It says Mesh Tools. And say Insert Edge Loop. Insert Edge Loop. And I'm going to make an edge loop right about, I know it's hard to see. I'll do it again. Right about there. Because that's kind of where the thumb kind of gets attached. Everyone, again, look at your left hand. Look at your left hand. Notice there's a decent gap between the index finger knuckle and where the thumb juts out. There's a pretty big gap there, right? If you couldn't see it because I was in 4 mode, here it is in 5 mode. Once again, insert edge loop tool, and right about there. And this is our first time doing our fingers and hands. We're going to be nice and forgiving. Boom. Okay. These 2 faces. So what I was just talking about with your hand. These 2 faces. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Got my back. I love it when you guys got my back. Those 2 faces are going to be the start of your thumb. That is going to be your extrusion. Okay? Those 2 faces. 1, 2. Okay? And whether you're doing 4 fingers or whether you're doing 3 fingers, the thumb starts is the same. The thumb is the same. Okay. So grab those two. Once again, you're going to make one edge loop, then extrude. We're going to do the same trick we did with the arm. Do you remember the arm? We did extrude and we did a flat extrusion. We reshaped it into a hexagon and then we pulled it out. I want you to do the same thing here. So I'm going to Command E for extrude. I'm not going to hit global. By keeping it local, it keeps the faces along the side of the hand and it keeps the shape. So I hit extrude on those two faces. And I'm making it small, but I'm going to make it big again in a second. All right. I'll do that. I'm going to do something like that. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Then I'm going to click off of it, go to edge mode, select that center edge, hit scale, and kind of, there's my little, that's the start of my thumb. That's it. Now, if you were playing like Call of Duty or working for Call of Duty or what was Activision, whoever makes Call of Duty, you would likely have a lot more vertices to play with right there, right? Instead of just 6. But for us being simple and beginners, we're going to start with 6. Okay. One face, two face. So now I have this nice little hexagon. I'm going to skip up top to my top view. Oops, let me get rid of my other example. My soon-to-be 4 view. 4-fingered version. There it is. Okay. And let me go back to that face. Grab those two faces. And I'm going to extrude. Woo! Don't do that. I'm going to extrude so that the thumb, if everyone look at me, I'm going to make his hand look like this. Everyone see my hands? I know it's dark. Can you see my hands? Right? So I'm going to make him go straight out. Like he's doing this. He's doing like, so he's going to be, if you were to rotate his arms up, he's doing an all right? So, just going to hit extrude, Command E, boop. This time I am going to hit global. I'm going to pull it out right about there. Now, some of you are like, hey, do we want to flatten it out like we normally do? Nah. Could you? Sure. Do you have to? Nah. What if you really want to? Go for it. But I actually kind of like how it is, jutting out a little bit. Okay? And I want you to think about Mickey Mouse, and I want you to look at his gloves. Those gloves are big, fat, thick fingers, right? So why don't we thicken it up a little bit? Oops. Hit that center box, and his thumb is actually going to get fatter as it leaves his thumb. Now, you might look at your thumbs. Your thumbs don't do that, but we're thinking cartoony, right? Something like that. And I'm doing this from my top view. And then I'm going to do 2 more extrusions. Command E, global. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to keep that one fat. Maybe a little smaller. Maybe a little smaller. Just a little, though. And then one more. Command E, pull it out. And this one I'm going to make teeny tiny. So he's got this big, fat, cartoony thumb. Now, if you're like, oh, I made it too small or too big, like how I kind of feel like I did, remember, you can always go back. You don't have to like undo. I can just grab this extrusion. I can grab those edges. I went to edge mode, and I can kind of move these along further up or further down to kind of get that. And when you go to 3 mode, there you go. That's a nice cartoony thumb right there. If you're ever wondering like how long you should make it, it should be just a little shorter, just a little less wide than the width of the hand. So my hand is pretty wide, so I might need to make this a little bit wider, but if you look, can you do this, right? You can almost touch the other side of your hand with your thumb. So that's about how long you should make it. Top view is a nice reference. Yeah, I'm going to just do 2 more extrusions. Nice. Let's start with the arm. You got it, Alex. You got it. I like it. I like it when you get cut up. All right. So 3 extrusions out. Your fingers are going to have 4 extrusions out, just to kind of give them a few more bendy bits. But if you do the 3-finger method, it's going to be really easy and convenient. If you do the 4-finger method, you're going to need to use the Multicut tool. So let me do the easy way first. Grab your 2 faces right here. These 2 faces. I'm going to grab those 2 faces. Everyone looking? So if you didn't get the thumb, maybe the fingers will make more sense. So take a break on the thumb. Most of you got the thumb. I've stopped and I've helped people with the thumb. Now, for the 3-finger method, here's what you do. Command E for extrusion. I'm going to keep it local. I'm going to pull it forward just a little bit. Just a little bit. The littlest of little bits. I'm going to hit red box and I'm going to scale it in. Look what I got. And scale it in until they're about even. I understand that they're slightly different shapes. We're going to remodel them in a second. But look what, so all I did, right? Those 2 faces, I hit extrude, command E, keep it local, pull it up, and then red box in, and look what you got. You got 2 sets for 1 fit. That's your index finger. That's your middle finger. This is going to be your pinky ring finger combo. If you're going to do 4 fingers, same thing, except that you're going to use multi-cut to cut right here. And you got to make sure you finish on a vertex. Don't leave it hanging out there. So I'll go over that in a second. But 4-finger is a very similar method, because remember, your index and your middle finger are the stronger of the 4 fingers, right? So you do this method for your index and your middle, and then you split this in half to make your other 2, right? Like I said, we're trying to do the Total Recall alien hand. You guys don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? That would kill amongst my generation. They'd be like, oh yeah, totally remember the Total Recall hand. The Arnold Schwarzenegger Total Recall. You kids, it's lost on you kids. The original, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is not original to the book, I understand. Okay, we're getting distracted. All right, once again, did you miss what I was doing with the 3-finger method? 3-finger method is Command E, keep it local, pull it in, maybe pull it forward just a little bit. Something like that. That's all I've done. And then I got on a tangent about 4 fingers and Total Recall. But that's good. All right. Now, one of these is a hexagon. The others are chevrons, let's call them, right? Let's try to make all of these straight. Let's try to make all of these straight. So you're going to have to go to vertex mode. And you're going to, we want these pretty even, and we want these pretty straight. But I'm going to go here, and I'm going to kind of maybe pull that one out, maybe then pull this one in. However, you're going to get it to look relatively straight-ish. And again, we're going to work in terms of ish, which really bothers some of you, I understand. You like to be very precise. I understand. There are ways to do this more precisely, but we're just going to do it like ish. You just have to deal. And then this one. And then pull that one wider. Still looking okay? Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. Something like that. I can even toe those down if I wanted to make them a little smaller. Just making them look more even. Let's do that. I want to get more space for my index finger. Slide these 3 over. So all I did here is just mess around with the vertexes so it looks like that. So you want your faces to look like this. Okay. Once again, look at your hand. Look at your hand like this in chop mode. Look at your hand in chop mode for a second. I want you to look at the underside of your hand. Everyone look at me. Look at your elbow and then look at the tip of your middle finger. It kind of makes an even diagonal line. Do you guys see that? On the top of your hand, it's straight. The top right here, you guys see what I'm looking at? This is relatively straight. This bottom here kind of comes up. So what's going to happen is the top, these edges here, or the top of the faces that we're about to extrude, should kind of keep a relatively straight line, and we're going to move these up into it more, okay? So just want to give you some guidelines of how I'm sculpting it. However, again, he's a cartoon. These are going to be nice and bulbous fingers. Okay. All right. Did we all reshape our fingers good? We have relatively even. Notice this one isn't even perfectly flat. That's totally fine. Grab the center two faces and pull them forward so it's a semi-trapezoid. And again, look at my hand. We're modeling him like this. Everyone see how we're doing it? We're not modeling him like this. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. Okay. So that's why if I pull this out, each one of these fingers will jut out a little bit differently. Okay. 1, 2. I'm going to grab those two faces. This is my index finger. I'm going to hit extrude. Command E. I'm not going to do, and then I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to keep it local. I'm going to pull it out with the blue arrow. And I can use my top view or my perspective. I'm going to kind of pull it out, and I'm going to make it bigger by grabbing that center cube box like so. And I might want to look at this in 3 mode right away, right? Just to kind of see what it looks like. And give him a nice big fat finger. Something like that. And then I'm going to do it again. That's 1 extrusion. Command E. 2 extrusions. And maybe that's too fat. I'll adjust that in a second. It's probably too fat. Command E again. Right. And I think that's all I'm going to need. That might be a little too far. And let me shrink this last one down. Down. Okay. That's not bad. Okay, like I said, I kind of made this one too fat. I can kind of hit R now and scale it in. There you go. So I grab those edges, scale them like that. That's it. Repeat. So class, I'm not going to walk you through. Oh, lastly, what I was talking about earlier, the hand kind of curves up. So what I got to do is I got to move these bottom faces so that they're smaller. So I'm going to grab these front 2 faces right here and kind of shrink them. And now it's kind of coming down into a fingertip. Pull it up a little, maybe pull it in. And then this one's kind of, this face down here, I got to kind of reshape. Oops. So again, just kind of pull it in until it looks more like a finger on the side view as well, right? Then you repeat using your index finger as your guide. If you're doing the 3-finger method, remember your middle finger is a little taller, but pretty much make the pinky finger about the same size. And so we're 1, 2, I'm going to hit Command E. I'm going to pull it out. Make this bigger. Command E. Again, somewhere right about there. And then Command E. This time, gets smaller. Something like that. And then I got to reshape this by grabbing that face right there, kind of pulling it up. And it looks like I need to kind of shrink these a little bit more. Pull it up. There you go. There we go. And we're going to be nice and forgiving. Lastly, last set right here. 1, 2. Command E. Pull it out. Okay, anyone doing 4-finger method? Raise your hand. Anyone want to try it? 1, 2. Thomas, did you get it? Did you get my explanation, or you want me to see me do it? You can kind of get it. So what you're going to do is, here, I'll do it real quick. One, I'll do a really crude version of the 4-finger method. All right, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the 3-finger method. Command E extrude. I'm going to pull it out a little bit and shrink it a little bit. But I'm not going to make it perfectly even. I'm going to make this one a little wider. Something like that. And then I'm going to use multi-cut. Mesh tools, multi-cut. Bam. I'm going to need to cut this guy in half. So, and then I'm going to need to finish somewhere here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this corner. You see this, Thomas? I'm going to start on that corner, then kind of connect somewhere about there, then cut this guy about 50%. 50, somewhere. I can't read that number. There you go. And then somewhere right about here. Excuse me. 50. I can always adjust later. And then I'm going to go here. And it's always good practice to end your multi-cuts on a vertex like that. Hit enter. Q. And then I can even these out. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. Got it? Does that make sense? So that's how you do 4 fingers. If you're doing 4-finger method, remember your middle and your index finger are the more important fingers. They're the ones that have a direct connection with your forearm. The pinky and the ring finger kind of taper off. Don't believe me? Ask Ms. Day or Mr. McBlair. Ask him about it. Ask him about why you punch with only your first 2 knuckles. He'll give you a nice, awesome explanation. He'll even do a demonstration and break some bricks. That's how cool he is. Again, we're going to be nice and forgiving to ourselves about how good or bad our fingers look. We're doing this to learn. I know some of you want that. I'm glad you're holding yourself to a very high standard. But remember, this is our first time ever doing it. So each finger is going to be about 3 extrusions. And make sure that your middle finger is the longer of the 3 fingers. Right? Like I made my pinky way too big. It's a nice little cartoony hand. I'm not going to care too much because it's going to be in a fist most of the time. I think my thumb's too small. If you think you're like me and made your thumb too small, first thing you do is pull out the side the top 2 faces and pull them out wider until you think you're at the right space. And then you can kind of reshape. There we go. And this guy seems too big. And we're just going to be nice and forgiving to ourselves. I know I keep saying that. But I really want to impress on you the challenge making awesome hands is, and that We're just gonna. Exactly. It takes a long time to practice there. Don't repeat what you actually said. We're recording. The other trick I've seen people do if you want the more realistic hand is you rotate your front two faces to give it more of that finger edge. Do you guys see that? When I give it a little rotation, it kind of creates more of that finger lip. That's another trick. There's all sorts of little things you can do here, but we're just going to be... All right. Still not happy with my thumb. Ah, gotta do this. Yeah. Lastly, before we're done with our hand, we might want to reshape it a little bit. Like your palm kind of gets a little concave. So you can kind of reshape a little of your hand this way, if you like. If you wanted to make it look like you had a little bit more webbing of your thumb, you can kind of, there it is. That's what I was wanting, right? So that thumb webbing are these two faces I'm playing with right now. And kind of get it to where you like it. Get it to where you're happy. Yay. Perfect. Not perfect. Acceptable. There. Ugh, still not. Even I'm getting picky with my hands. All right. When you think you're done, we're going to do another save as. And again, like I said, hands are hard. Be nice and forgiving. I hope you're seeing how picky I am, and I'm trying not to be. And I'm like, this isn't good. I'm trying to walk away. I can't. There you go. Yeah, it's great. Repeat one more time with the pinky. You can keep it like the same size as the index because he's got that 3-finger. Like if you look at Mickey's fingers, they're all relatively the same size. The Mickey Mouse hand. Last year I really nailed it. Really good finger. This year not